Hi, English 306 students. This is your professor, Professor Shamirian, and I'm here to talk a little bit more about this week's assignment on the four keys. So, the four keys is actually a very big component to English 306 because it sets the foundation for a majority of the writing that we will be doing. As you all know, this is a report writing class, mostly for the professions, and what we do in this class is based on what you will be presented a lot of times at a job. And so, how to address this and what role does the four keys play? Well, first and foremost, what are the four keys? The four keys include audience, purpose, message, and tone and style, which tend to go together. So, the audience, when it comes down to it, audience boils down to who are you writing to? And this should definitely be identified, primarily because once you understand who you're writing to, that will then impact your purpose, message, and tone and style. What that means is you're going to have very different ways of approaching writing when it comes to a director of a department, or your immediate supervisor, or your colleague, or just a friend. So what that means is you will then choose your tone and your style and your wording and whether to go informal or formal, which then also impacts the entire message and the purpose that go also hand in hand. So first and foremost, I always tell my students, make sure you know your audience because that will already establish who you're going to write to. Then when you go on to purpose basically is, why are you writing this? And majority of the time the answer is you are writing this to inform and usually persuade your audience. Whether you're writing a research report or whether you're writing an observational report or whether you're writing just a summary, the whole point is your audience should be persuaded that what you have to say is factual, is logical, is something persuasive enough for them to adapt to. Your message becomes the execution portion. What are you going to write? How much or how little information are you going to put in there? This is why I usually start the semester off with a summary, because summary is kind of going back to the basics. But a lot of times we've forgotten how to summarize something and get to the point while still being informational and not too condensed. And so when you proceed on to understanding your message, where do tone and style come in? I usually tell my students, pick by default to write more formally, because in this day and age, people who are in a more supervisor or managerial position tend to adhere to formalities more than informalities. So it's easier for someone to tell you to write casually rather than be offended by something informal as far as a tone or style goes. And so what will happen after you guys have done the readings and read the lecture notes is you'll proceed on to go to this week's assignment. So this week's assignment is actually a 2-week assignment. And what will happen is it is another group assignment. I know the introductions kind of had their problem, but I'll say this. I've made sure that every single group is accounted for and everything is glitch free as far as Canvas goes. So what'll happen is when you click on the assignment, you will automatically have the instructions but also be in your group's page. Your navigation to the left will show like under people, who the people in your group are. I would suggest that you immediately reply and start introducing who you are and which area you'd like to get into. What that means is, after you've read the instructions, you'll see that there are 4 different pieces of material that you guys will be evaluating. Your group will choose only one of them to evaluate. Only one. And that's how you start communicating as a group. Which one will we choose? How do we want to delegate the work? How do we want to divide up the group? And I will generally say this, although group work is not most students' favorite, you will encounter this on a professional level in some way, shape, or form. So you will have two assignments in this class that are group-based. One is the 4 keys that you're doing the next 2 weeks, which is worth 50 points. And the one that comes after is the collaborative assignment, which is actually quite larger at 150 points. And the reason I like to do this is primarily because First, you will encounter it in a professional environment. And second, it's necessary to actually practice time management, leadership skills, group working skills, and communication skills. So with that in mind, I will generally say this. This first week, you should start with introducing each other, and at the very least, get started on which area how you guys would like to divide up the work and which material you guys would like to evaluate. As far as that material goes, that material are based on websites, and they're based on informational instructions. And the whole point is for you to consider the 4 keys while you're evaluating this, because sometimes you will see that not all material has considered the 4 keys. And because of that, makes the audience either think that something is too much or unclear or too little information, and that will also show and reflect how you should be approaching your writing in the class. Generally speaking, I will also be available via email, but next week, while you're still going to be working on this worksheet, I will designate times that we can get on Canvas chat. And if any groups want to get on chat and ask questions, or any members want to get on, I can do that. I'm always available via email, and I usually respond rather quickly. So please take advantage of that. I will also say this. This is in the instructions, but I'm going to emphasize this, that the whole point of this assignment is to see how you work together as a group while evaluating the 4 keys. So there's going to be a worksheet on this assignment, but your group will be handing in 1 worksheet, and you'll all be getting the same grade. So that means you have 14 days to really work together and come up with concise and detailed answers as far as the material goes. If anything is unclear in this video, or anything is unclear in your chapters or lecture notes or the instructions, I highly recommend emailing me. The sooner, the better. Okay, hope everyone has a good week. Bye.